Okay, so welcome to the Paradox of Eternal Life meeting. So there's some more paradox that we're going to take a look at today. And it's the paradox with a very specific title, like the paradox of awakening. I love this. So the paradox of awakening is like, okay, so you're on a path of awakening, but who's actually really learning anything, or who's actually undergoing this process? What is real about this one that undergoes the process? And is there a paradox to discover somewhere? Oh yes, there is. There's a big paradox, like an amazing paradox. So I found it really interesting to read and prepare this today, because it is a discovery to hear this anew, so to speak, to discover that the thing that you're actually practicing, or the method you are using, or the books that you're reading, anything that you do for it, is in fact, say, in regards to a thing that actually is the denial of what it wants to learn. Well, that's a great paradox. So we're going to deep that out a little bit today. So I'm happy that you came here, that you decided to join. So it's with the paradox class, it's a matter of be completely present, because otherwise you miss it. You miss it completely what we're actually talking about, or what we're actually sharing. So your presence here is really like, yeah, it's really necessary. It's great. It's great. Then you will have the most of the fun, in fact. And also there's a lot of beauty and possibilities for deep insight and deep experience. Yeah, so that's the offering today. And yeah, I found this book again. It's a book of Teilhard. It's the Hymn of the Universe. And I actually want to read something out of it as a start for this moment together. It is called a prayer. So you can call it a contemplative prayer if you want. But it's rather intense. Like Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was very clear in his expression, so that's why I love to use him too. But this is a prayer. Lord Jesus, now that beneath those world forces you have become truly and physically everything for me, everything about me, everything within me, I shall gather into a single prayer both my delight in what I have and my thirst for what I lack. And following the lead of your great servant, I shall repeat those enflamed words in which I firmly believe the Christianity of tomorrow will find its increasingly clear portrayal. Okay, so what is that? What is that he wants to recite here? Enflamed words. So we're going to let that in too. So here is that. Lord, lock me up in the deepest depths of your heart, and then, holding me there, burn me, purify me, set me on fire, sublimate me, till I become utterly what you would have me be, through the utter annihilation of my ego. So I'll do this one more time. Lord, lock me up in the deepest depths of your heart, and then, holding me there, burn me, purify me, set me on fire, sublimate me, till I become utterly what you would have me be, through the utter annihilation of my ego. So I'll repeat that later on one more time. I love this. So great. So here we go one more time. Lord, lock me up in the deepest depths of your heart, and then, holding me there, burn me, purify me, set me on fire, sublimate me, till I become utterly what you would have me be, through the utter annihilation of my ego. So that was from this book, then, the Hymn of the Universe. So there's some prayers in there. So this is great. So how can this work then? It says, like, what is the thing that wants to burn its ego? And we're not going to make a philosophy here or a discussion or anything. It's like, that's not what this is about. But it's interesting to take a look at the paradox of it. Like, the thing that wants the ego to be burned, what is that? Like, what is that? Like, that is the pure conscious of your personality or something? Or what is it? So you see that it is, it's like, it's not clear in that sense. It's not clear in what is what. Like, you ask this of your Christ mind. There's something that wants to burn the ego, that wants to get rid of it, let it burn up, let it sublimate, let it do all things, like with so much passion and so much convincing, say, so much conviction. So that that would in that sense never work without like a bridge or a comforter in between. Like, it would be impossible if you were crying out, so to speak, crying out to the heavens, for your salvation, for wanting God to pick you up from planet Earth or something. Like first making this here real and then wanting God to pick you up. See, this could never have worked without a catalyst or a comforter or an, yeah, you could say a bridge between what and what. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But it's like, that could never work without it. So that's why it's there. So in other words, if you have this desire, like I want only God, I want only like the complete sublimation of anything else, the complete, say, set the whole rest on fire, and letting that all burn, so to speak. I can only do that in the presence of Spirit. I'm giving that to Spirit as the bridge between this and that. See, this is one of the ways that it came to us, like Joel is sharing it too, and it's in the New Testament, it's in the Course in Miracles. It's like there's a bridge, there's a comforter is being sent to us. After Jesus resurrected, a comforter is sent here. And that is like the interpreter, you could say. It recognizes your heart's desire and say connects it with where it really belongs and what really needs to be healed and what really needs to occur. So all this is in that recognition, it can work. So, but the paradox still is then to look at what are we trying to do here. Like that would never work in itself. If you look at it as an attempt to get out of your ego into a God experience, like you could wait for a long time. So now this is our final paradox class, paradox meeting, and we have been looking at some of the pretty extreme ways that paradox is present in our in our awakening. But now it's just purely to looking at, say, the mechanisms that we use to wake up, the lessons that we do, or the method that we use, the meditations that we use, and all this. Like the reason that I do it this way is that there's really something to discover, and the part that's going to be interesting to you probably is that you're not even, say, you don't even remember, or you don't even see how much you use of the separation of your daily life, of your ideas about yourself, or your personality, how much of that you use against the total surrender to God, so to speak. You use everything you can to deny it, in fact. So this will become more obvious too. So I'm seeing now at the same time, and this is where we come back to later on too, is like at the same time you see that when I'm saying this, I'm actually confirming that. I'm actually confirming that such a mechanism exists and making that real. And that's real at the same time too. So that is, it's unbelievable, but that's how that goes. All right, so I'm going to share something with you that I put together and see it from there and see what happens. Paradox of awakening. So here are some points we're looking at today. A crucial statement that will be given, outcome, the idea of outcome, like doing things for a certain outcome, for a better experience, for a clearer mind, for illumination. Perceptual devices we use. And then we talk about total dependence. And then we come back to the idea of choice one more time. And some more. But I'm not going to tell you what, of course. So the mechanisms that we employ, here it says, the mechanisms that we employ in the awakening are only there because you think you can be separate from God, from eternal life. The thing that thinks that is impossible and does not exist. Now, what are we going to do? So the mechanisms that we employ in the awakening are only because you think you can be separate. See, and this is like a huge, you could say, like a huge problem in our awakening. So first you see that there's separation. You get stuck in it. You feel experiences of, you have experiences that you don't know how to get out of it. Nothing seems to work. Relationships break. Your heart is broken. Your finances are drying up. You don't even have a house any longer, or who knows what your story is. It's like all this happens in, say, the previous to your awakening experiences. So there's a real devastation connected to it. There's a real devastation. It's hard. You discover that it's really weird what you're actually doing, trying to survive. And why wouldn't there be a place for you in this humongous universe? Why wouldn't there be a place for you? That's ridiculous. That doesn't make sense at all. And why would people not be friendly to you? And so you have your why questions all over the place, so many of them. You don't know what to do with yourself. And you also don't know what to do with your thoughts. So that's also an important discovery in the walk to the start of your awakening. You're getting sick of your thoughts. You got enough of it. You don't know how to get out of it because it seems to be the only thing there is, but you also don't know how to deal with it. You have no idea. So here comes your awakening experience. Then you suddenly pick up a book and it tells you that there's a way out of this, that there's a whole different thing going on, that there's a divine spark in you that you can never lose, for instance. Like all of this starts to dawn in your consciousness. And at the same time, you still keep practicing your denial, in fact. And that can take a moment. So these things combined makes it really like a roller coaster ride for most of us to start the awakening, to start to come into a whole different way of thinking, and eventually giving yourself totally to the path and say commit yourself to what you read and what you hear and what you start to experience. You commit yourself to it. So you slowly but certainly it takes over the way that you think, the way that you live, and the way that you in fact discover your newness. So this is nothing new. You know this. You're in the middle of it. So you know all this. But I'm telling it for a very specific reason. And so the great thing of hearing this way is then, the thing, so to speak, the thing that wants this, that knows one thing for sure, that it doesn't want to live as a human being like it did before. It doesn't want to do that any longer. It doesn't know how to do anything else yet, but it's discovering, it's testing it, it's reading about it, entering, like allowing ideas to come into your consciousness and start to live with them, to be quiet, to maybe even say come in touch with the teacher or with the master or with an who knows what. At least you do everything you can to look for a comfort in a whole different place. And in the meantime, you're still this denial. In fact, you're still, living with the possibility that you are you. You know, that you are you, that you live in this world, that you're so and so old, and that you're located over there. Like, that is still normal to you. And on and on and on. It's like there's lots of aspects, and more you discover how much you're actually tied into this world, into this way of thinking, and that it's not so easy to get out of it, that you would have no idea how to do it actually. You know, so these things make it, in fact, impossible for you to wake up, you could say. It's like it is an impossibility to wake up. It would be impossible for you to do that. And so another way that's being said is like you cannot think yourself out of your own dream. That is impossible too. So once you make one of the aspects real, it is reality to you. And the reality, the true you as you are, is out of the door. You literally can't experience it if you're still holding on to your own idea about what is true. So the path, the lessons that we do, the beautiful Bible that we read, that are inspiring us. So something happens when we listen to it. And also like something is growing from within. And this also, you know, but something is growing from within and feeling more solid every time you have deeper experience of it. So you could say like the method that we use is not going to do it. And the method that we use is still used by one who is actually the denial of what it wants to learn. So here's our paradox. So that is the first situation that is sketched, so to speak. So I'm talking you into something here. So what are we doing now? The thing that thinks that is impossible and does not exist. It's impossible. So now you have you've read some literature, some spiritual literature. You read some Bible, you have some experiences. And now actually you feel like I want more of it. I just want more of it. So in your awakening, you want to achieve a certain outcome. Now there's nothing wrong with doing that, except that it's in a realized mind, in your realized mind, in your Christ mind, achievement is an outcome is an like unknown thing. It doesn't exist. Like, so this is a huge shift that you're making in your awakening. You come to the point where you actually see that things don't necessarily have an outcome, but something else is happening. And I'm stopping right here. So something else is happening, and what is that something else? Is that you actually say come closer all the time that you realize it, that something inside of you is very quiet, is very still, is always there. So it seems like a constant factor that you are, say, discovering inside yourself. So that it doesn't move, it is always there. You cannot always get to it in your consciousness, but at least it is there. And more and more you get that confirmed inside yourself. So this constant factor, this what is always there, like you could say, like the realized you, is inside of you. It's not anywhere else. So slowly but certainly it emerges out of your subconscious or your supraconscious. Like it suddenly appears into your consciousness as a constant factor, which is not an outcome. It's not an achievement. It is not done by your doing. It is not an achievement. Like, no, you can't take credit for it. It's literally by your openness, suddenly it appears. Like you have no conscious control over it. It just comes to you, like by an act of grace, you could say. That's a beautiful way to say that. But what I'm actually meaning to say is then, so the methods that we use, but also the thinking that we do in our awakening, is basically always still based on an idea of achievement, of an outcome, of an say, maybe even competition, or who knows what. It's like that is so human to think like that. You take that with you in your awakening too. Not that you have to keep doing that, absolutely not, but it happens. And that's exactly, you could well say, like, that's exactly in the way for the achievement itself, for the manifestation or the realization of you. So you have to be careful what words to use now. So this is what I mean, why it's so interesting to look at the paradoxes, because it actually fine-tunes the way that you look at yourself, fine-tunes your position in the whole story. And say, when I say there's no outcome, there's a realization. There's suddenly that coming into your full awareness. The light and love that you are is coming into your awareness. So I related that to the methods that we use is the denial of it. The methods that we use will not bring you there. But with using those, something happens. You start to learn to move backwards and allow the light to come up. You have no opinions about anything. You have no expectations. You have no, sense of achievement, or you leave all those competitive attributes for what they are, for just a moment. You come with open hands. Like just open hands to your Father. You come with open hands, and then who knows, it might come to you. It might just be realized in you. Suddenly there's a revelation, or something that is really given to you to confirm that what is already there in you. See, and here's another paradox, that what you're looking for is already there. What you're looking for, what you so desperately want, is manifest in you all the time. I cannot hear the voice for God. I don't know. I'm really trying. I'm really trying to listen to the voice of God, God's healing voice. Like, I really want that. And it's like, well, that is already occurring in you. So maybe you should stop trying. Maybe you should stop having any idea about it, what it looks like, how it feels, or how it speaks to you. Keep a completely open mind to let that occur and see what happens. It's like, let it all become an act of grace, or an opening up in a whole different way than you're not used to. It's like, forget all your own ideas about it. And here we go again. It's like, suddenly there's just moving into your consciousness, a subtle but very constant experience of, you just feel secure, you just feel safe, you just feel like moved. You feel so good about even the breath that you breathe. You feel so good about the fact that you, with no other idea, can sit in your chair completely fulfilled, like this. What did you do for that? Nothing. Did you need to do a method, or use a method for it to get there? No, in fact not. Can it happen instantaneously? Yes. Does it need preparation? Who knows? See, all these things are, if you think for yourself that you need a method in order to do this, or that you need to do this 5 years before you have your first experiences, or like what I discovered with many on the Infinite Way path, it's like they're waiting for the click. And the click, as Joel describes it, for instance, you will never experience it. It was Joel's experience. So however that click idea is in you, you have no idea, but certainly not what you think happened to Joel. You know what I'm saying? It's like the power of your mind is so incredible, so you use it continuously, in fact, against yourself. And without noticing, it's like if you think it takes 5 years for you to come to an experience, it will be that for you. So that's also so amazing. If I think I need a method in order to experience my direct communication for God, well, there you have it. Then I need a method. If I say like, okay, so now I'm going to sit and take a cup of tea. By taking a sip of that cup of tea, I enter into the doors, like I enter into heaven by just doing that. If that is what I think, it will be so for me. It's like that's how you influence. Like you influence your own awakening path. You influence it by your ideas about the path. That's why I love to say use this paradox idea to set that free, in fact. So like not having these ideas or holding on to these ideas, but letting them go. Really helpful, really helpful. I have to get it out. I have to get it out. See, to your whole mind, which is the realized mind in you, that is you, say maybe not conscious right now, but emerging any time now, your whole mind, your creative mind, any outcome is totally meaningless. It doesn't wait for it. It's like it doesn't need to wait for anything. It's realizing itself. See, the whole mind can only be an extension of itself. It doesn't do anything else. It is just itself, expressing itself, extending itself. Then I put down the question, like, how can this nevertheless be successful? Like, how can this all work out then? If this is so subtle, so to speak, if it is so depending on how we look at it, how this is happening, it's like, am I not allowed to have any outcome anymore? It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying either. So it is still different. But it's good to know this. To your whole mind, any outcome is totally meaningless. So that is also another way of saying is like, if you could say like, if you give up your hope to awaken, you probably awaken. You know, it's like if you have so much hope that it will happen soon, or that you do everything you can for it, but also like you want a certain outcome. If I give that up, I might just jump in heaven. So I might just wake up right where you start. So that's why I say to many of us is like I say this is, if you can just exactly accept the way that you are now, the way that you feel about yourself, the way that you sit there in your chair, so to speak, or who knows what you're doing. Like if you could completely accept that now, you would sink into a deeper layer of your consciousness. Like it's inevitable, because it has everything to do with acceptance, with allowing it to be perfect. Why not allowing it to be perfect? Has nothing to do with form, has nothing to do with my ideas, it has nothing to do with what I see or what I understand. Like all of this, and we don't need in order to see it really, to let that what is be. And that is amazing. That's amazing. So that's really like the message in that sense behind all of this. Whole mind can only be an extension of itself. So it doesn't need to be concerned with what it is. That's something that a human being does. But not whole mind or creative mind or your Christ mind. Your separate existent identity has denied the awakening call from your holy eternal self. Your separate existent identity has denied the awakening call from your holy eternal self. And it's like, what is that? What kind of statement is that? I'm busy on my spiritual path to wake up out of this dream. I've heard a call and I've answered. And then it's like, well, yeah, sure. So your separate existent identity has denied the awakening call. It is actually still doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's still doing it. It's still using everything it can not to wake up. And certainly you have your moments in which something feels very peaceful, or that you have a different experience of yourself. Sure. But then you fall back into like the denial, in fact, of your eternal self. See, I don't want to make this true either. So I'm going to read a little bit further. Truth is true and nothing else is true. Like that's the only thing that's, yeah, you have nothing to say about, you say. It's like, truth is true, nothing else is true. All your perceptual devices are a denial, or denial of the whole reality of single truth. All your perceptual devices are denial of the whole reality of single truth. So perceptual devices, what on earth is that? So I'm going to ask you to write it down. Jesus represents you with the covenant of eternal life. Okay, so all your perceptual devices are a denial of your whole reality of single truth. Well, we're going to get you into that. So what does that mean? Perceptual, since you all know so well how this works, here's the whiteboard. So what is it? What are the perceptual devices that you apply to deny the love of God? So here we go, and this is like we're really going to the basis of all this. It's like your reality is a total dependence on God. It's like there's no doubt about that. There's no choice to be made. So your reality is a total dependence on God. If your eternal creative reality is a dependence on God, and you know it, why do you then continue to depend on your own devices? And this is a very honest question, in fact. And like, if your eternal creative reality is a dependence on God, why do you then continue to depend on your own devices? And here it says immediately too, this question does not validate the mechanisms of the mind. It's like whatever we're discussing here, you can put everything on a whiteboard. You can come up with all the ways that you're denying the love of God, like as a big list, ever-growing big list. But it does not validate the use of it. It does not validate the mechanisms of mind to deny the love of God. So this is just like a disclaimer, so to speak, in the whole story. It's a disclaimer. This question does not validate it. So like there are no rights that you can draw off of this. No, your reality is a total dependence on God. So take a look at what devices you use to deny it, and say, go on an unexplored path to discover what it is to be without that. See, the devices you apply, you use as means to not will with God. And that in itself is an impossible idea. So that's why we return back into the paradox, like big time. The devices you apply, you use as a means to not will with God, while there is nothing else but the will of God. That's why this is an impossible idea. Even the denial is a total impossible idea. Okay, so The method by which you are taught appears to offer you choice, only because you believe choice is possible. Right? So it's like, by the idea that you have a choice, you have a choice. You believe that you have a choice, so then you have a choice. So now even that is used in your awakening manner too, in your awakening method. It is included in that too. Because here it says, like, your only choice is simply to deny the denial. Deny the denial. So what will happen if you do that? This world, with no justification for separation, will disappear forever, because no part of it was ever real. Until you come to that, no progress can be made. And these are like, wow, that's quite an expression, but it is not any different. It is just simply that. So this world with no justification for separation, can you justify the separation? No, you can't. So when you discover that you cannot do that, when you discover that you cannot deny the love of God, what happens? Like, if you completely admit that to yourself, that you cannot deny it, that there's no use of doing that, there's no justification for it, like there's literally no need to do that any longer, because you see that your freedom, your love, your fulfillment, your being is in the total dependence on God, not anything else. So what happens when you see that there's no justification for the denial? You literally like see the world disappear, because the world was made to deny the love of God. Otherwise it would have no function. It would have no role. It would have there's no justification for you to be here. That's why we say, like, the world was over a long time ago. Like, it's gone. You just relive a memory, and that you still try to echo through time, like echo into time, project it into time in order for it to be there. Otherwise it would completely, say, stop to be, say, to be there for you. So this is an interesting idea. So all the things that you feel regarding that, all the things that you feel with an idea of a dissolving earth, like, if you would really take a look at it, it would disappear in front of your eyes. It would disappear to exist. It would cease to exist. And all the feelings that you have, in which you say, like, yeah but, 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 and on and on and on, all that comes up then is what the denial is literally what creates time in your mind. Is literally you're making it on the spot. And you can't believe that until you see it, until you see it disappear, and seeing that there's nothing lost in that. Like, it was over a long time ago. It's very old, so to speak. It's a very old idea. And why would you want to perpetuate an idea that is over? Why would you want to perpetuate an idea that confirms to you the non-perfection of you as a human identity? Like, really, why would you want to do that? I know deep in your heart you don't want to do that. It's like, see, there's the paradox again. I know you don't want to do it, but why are you doing it? And who's doing that? I love this. I think there's so much, like, it's really on the edge where it really happens, you could say, like on the edge where really a great shift can occur. By you feeling this, like, you wanna feel what this says. You want to be there right on the spot to see this world disappear. You know, to see that there's no justification for this place whatsoever. We do our best to keep it here. It's like fully on using it to deny the love of God. When the love of God is denied in our experiences, when we see the hurt, the pain, the accident, the who knows what that you come up with, you don't want it. Immediately you don't want it. You experience it as a threat. You experience it as a chronic disease. You experience it as death. It's the title. Begin, here it says, like begin to positively assert, using the power of your mind, that the realization of all happiness and love originates through your total dependence on your Creator. So, and this is like everything is pointing in that direction. Everything. If everything is pointing in that direction, guess what happens? When you direct every occurrence to that, then the total dependence on your Creator, on God, what happens? All of the love and happiness originates through your total dependence on your Creator. So we said it in the other sheet too. It's like it is in fact the only thing that's real about you, the only thing that is really occurring, but in a way that you cannot think of. It becomes like an inner total experience of yourself. So here, you suffer from an authority problem that is literally killing you. You did not make yourself. So that is a nice sentence. You did not make yourself. So you can think you made yourself because of what you did, and thinking that you need to, in fact, have, you can take credit for it. You did it. You know, you did it. You thought you made yourself. You did it. You became what you wanted to be. And not that that was very satisfactory, but you did make, in your dream, you did think that you made yourself. Like I said, you weren't happy with what finally was the outcome of it. It wasn't really it at all. So you got so sick and tired of it. So, and literally also, like what it said here just before, it's like it literally kills you. Your own idea about yourself is literally killing you. And literally, in a literal sense, you live with an idea of death, which might even feel as a step into freedom if you finally get rid of all this stuff that you've been carrying and dragging with you in your idea about yourself, in your human existence. But it's like you suffer from an authority problem. We saw this the other day too. It's like the author of you is writing his story on you. And that is the real occurrence. That is the real occurrence. So you don't need to write your own story. Even though we say like this is all based on creative self-expression of the one that you are. But the one that you are is in total alignment with the will of God, is like whole and perfect and completely in communication with its source. See, the source is expressing itself through you. Anyway, so you suffer from an authority problem that is literally killing you. You did not make yourself. Here is a totally unbelievable solution to an unreal problem. Like literally you're killing yourself, didn't do anything either. And there's an unbelievable solution to your unreal problem. So, and that's called revelation. You know, that's called revelation. The unbelievable solution to your existence is revelation. is having an experience of direct communication with God, seeing that that is your source. Like you experience that once and you never have a question about it again. Like, no, that is my reality. So here you are in the high metamorphosis of your cellular reassociation with the light and love that is all around you. So here you are in the high metamorphosis of your cellular reassociation with the light and love that is all around you. So you could say, like, in the... So we come back to, in fact, we come back to your deep experience of yourself. It's like you follow this method. You did it and you want to achieve something. You, like we said in the beginning, it's like you want to achieve something, you want a certain outcome, but then something else happens. Despite of all of your actions, something else is happening. You literally come into a revelation, which is like an intense experience of your communication with God. It turns everything upside down for you. Like this is literally the only way that your problem is going to be solved, by letting that occur. And it's not under your conscious control. And it's like up to this point is what we read in the other sheets. Like up to this point, if that doesn't occur, then there didn't happen much. So it's like you continuously on this path are reevaluating yourself and thinking ideas about your awakening, thinking that should be like this, or maybe I should have already been there, or you're in competition using all your ego devices, all your perceptual devices, in order to describe yourself as what you're not, and you're keeping yourself busy with that. Like, you literally can't stop yourself doing the same thing, even in your spiritual path. Like, you're still doing the same thing as you would do as a human being. So here comes then out of the blue an experience that is not of this world, and that totally hits you, so to speak. Voila. It's like that's the only way out. It's like there's no other way out. It is an unbelievable solution to an unreal problem. But the confirmation of it makes you feel like home. The confirmation of it is, of the actual happening of it, will take away uncertainty, will solve every question that you could possibly have about your path, or about your process in all this. Like, it doesn't work that way at all. It's a whole new way, literally, of thinking, an unexplored path where you come into realization, and say the continuity of that, or the constancy of that certainty. That's really what that is. So that's the only thing, in fact, that you return back to. Just by staying in a constant release of any kind of the idea that you could hold, any kind of idea that would be in the way, letting it go, not trying to make a better idea, or trying to solve that, or trying to do anything with it. So you could say, like, you continuously hand everything over, and am waiting for any signal. Like, a total dependence on God is a total dependence on God. There's no 50-50 in it. There's no exclusion in it. There's no exceptions in it. There's none of that. So you could say, like, everything that you do, think and celebrate and breathe, and all this is all as your total dependence on God, giving it back to God, thanking God, thinking, like, focusing on God, opening for God. Like, this is going to be your daily activity. And yeah, there's not so much to say about that in that sense. So it's like, it's your happy therapy, if you want. It's like just from now on, dedicate everything to God. Bring it back to God. Like, I don't know what to do with them. Giving it to God. I'm so happy. I don't know why, but I give it to God because, like, my dependence is total on God. Like, there's nothing else. In that sense, there's nothing else to relate to, or there's nothing to deny. This is my true nature, and it's everything. So, as it said in the last sentences, it's like a total reassociation of your cellular, even your cellular system, to the light and love of God. So even your physicality, it's like, give everything to God and dedicate everything to God. Spend time with God. Refer everything back to God. Like, it won't leave any space for deviation, for denial, for alternative ideas, for parallel, for agendas, for you name it. Like, it does not have any space for that. So that's why you start to extend from within, because there's literally nothing else you have time to do, in fact. It's like there's nothing else you want to do. So that is the answer, like, that's the answer. That is the making the circle, say, closing the circle, or making it full circle. All of this is, in fact, all turning back all the time to your total dependence on God, to your love for God. Like, that is how simple that is. The love for God, your love for God. Disappear into it. Sit still with it. Breathe it. Celebrate it. Dance with it. Sing with it. Laugh with it. Cry with it. All this. You know, it's like your daily practice. Not that it's a method. No, it's a celebration. It is allowing that what is already present in you to emerge fully in your consciousness. All right. So thank you so much for participating in this paradox meeting, paradox classes. I'm very happy that this took place, and it's a great discovery to do this. And thank you for your patience, and thank you for your openness. I thank God. Thank you, God.